Well, that's strange.
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
I have no idea what.
I think we're on air like right now. So don't talk about Red Lobster. I usually come in after he says, kill the king. Broadcasting straight to you from a spaceship currently being chased off the ice by the Antarctic Defense Force, like they're going to catch us. That'll be the day. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, the creator of Flat Earth Clues, which propose that all of us are living inside a Truman Show enclosed structure, thousands of miles wide. Check it out at enclosedworld.com or just Google Flat Earth Clues. My wingman for the show, 2 weeks in a row now, he's Jonathan from Jersey. Hey, man.
What's going on, man? I got the giggles.
Do you? Because I'm feeling pretty frisky tonight. Tonight?
You know, like when it's inappropriate to laugh, like at a funeral or you get reamed out by a drill sergeant.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, no, it's okay because tonight is a kind of a good mood sort of show.
Okay.
And I'm not kidding. You can laugh whatever you want. Tonight's show is actually called Flat Earth Friendship. And
do we have any of those?
we have some friends, whether they like it or not. You guys are going to be my friends if I have to beat you. No, I'm kidding. No, we're gonna talk about all the positive things, and the reason is because I wasn't kidding when I got to Clue. You know what? I'm skipping something. Let's do a quick shout out to the cookie people, and this one is above and beyond, and I'm gonna butcher it because it's international. The cookie person of this week is, it's either Jan or Jan. So I don't know. I can't remember, but it's spelled JAN-AKE. I do not know how to pronounce that. I'm going to say Jan. And these cookies are from Östersund, Sweden. And Jan or Jan sent me like 10 different types of Swedish cookies.
Wow.
And I just finished off a stack of them, actually, like a tube of them. And this particular tube was called Singala. And it's like a vanilla cookie, and it's great because you can't read anything on the label, but like in American stuff where it says 10% more real fruit juice and stuff like that. This is 15% more Crom.
Wow, Crom, like the god?
Yeah, like Crom. Yeah, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Conan. Crom. It's Kram, and I had to look it up. In Sweden, Crom is a grape flavored pudding that they put they love putting those on the insides of cookies. And so I had to find that out. So yeah, I just had a whole bunch of Crom. So anyway, thank you very much to whoever you are out in Sweden. And hopefully I didn't butcher the name. Anyway, so yeah, I wasn't kidding about Flat Earth Friendship. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like me and don't trust me, and we'll get to that. But we'll deal with it. But the big thing here is trying to stay positive, because for those of you who don't know, every time I'm on YouTube, and you guys can look this up, I have you can't check out the thumbs up and thumbs down, but I've only thumbs up things. I've never thumbs down a single vid. My comments, and you can attest to this, I have only put positive comments. I'm a big believer, and I can't remember if is it Tumblr or Flickr that has the forums. Do they both have forums?
I don't use either one of them. I don't know.
Either the photo. If you guys want to see really positive energy coming from like a forums, go to, I think it's Tumblr.
I think it's Tumblr, yeah.
Yeah, it could be Flickr. Where, I mean, you put a picture up and it's nothing but people just saying, "Wow, that's a beautiful picture. Wow, that's amazing. How'd you take it?" It's just positive, 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 positive. The dark side of the forums and the internet, what's the saying? The saying used to be, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. But I don't believe that anymore.
Yeah, now it's get a fake name and say whatever the hell you want.
Exactly. Now it's, if you can't say something nice, well, then you're probably on the YouTube forums,
Right.
because people just attack and attack and attack. So I am trying to. I'm going to make this show all positive. So I'm going to. We're basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through really, because people ask me all the time. They say, Mark, what other videos can you recommend besides yours? And I go, are you kidding? There's tons of stuff out there. Lots and lots of really, really good vids. Now, some of these vids are made by people that I consider them friends, and other people, they do not like me as much. But I still like their vids, and that's the difference here. Is like, look, I'm not going to tear these guys down.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I remember like a couple months ago, too, because I would watch the videos, and I always like to read the comments just to see the demographic and what people are saying.
Yeah.
Just get a feel on it. And you never would. You would never read the comments. You really didn't care because you were just focused on the content, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
But then you recently started reading, and I don't know, I guess I'm a lot of harsher critic, or I'm, good cop, bad cop. I'd be the bad cop. And you always speak kindly, and I'm just like, why don't you tear these a-holes, like a new, tear these people apart. Like, this isn't fair.
Well,
and you're very kind. Like, I'm just saying, it's not because I'm on your team. It's just, it infuriates me a little bit.
I know, and we'll preface this show.
You're genuinely nice.
Thank you, man. I do try to be nice. Well, the agency taught me how to be nice.
Yeah.
But I do try to be nice, and yes, it does take pretty much an act of Congress to anger me. Because I worked in tech support a lot. I dealt with a lot of high stress clients, and it's something I've dealt with over the years. So I've developed. It's not even a thick skin. I just empathize with where people are coming from. So, and with this topic, I understand. There's a lot of mistrust, especially in the conspiracy world. And so you combine the general mistrust of everything that is conspiracies, don't trust anything, don't trust anyone. How many times have we seen that in the movies? Just before, the guy dies, don't trust anyone, blah, and he dies.
And I have to thank you, though, because you're right. There's a lot of conjecture, and there's a lot of stuff out there that really has nothing to do with the topic either at hand, that we're all striving for the truth.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot from you, just to be like, okay, take the high road. Let's see how this plays out. And
I know. In fact, thank you, by the way. I was going to even include that Patrick Swayze quote, but I had to rewatch that part of the movie from Roadhouse, where if people haven't watched that late 80s movie, Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, where he's the bouncer and his whole thing is be nice. No matter what happens in the bar, how ugly it gets, be nice. And, until he gives the signal to turn it. And not be nice, but that was his big thing. But it didn't. I was going to include that video in the intro in post, but I'm not going to, because the dialogue was all stretched out and stuff.
That's one of those movies, by the way. If it's 2 a.m. and I'm definitely going to sleep and I flick a channel and it's on,
yeah,
I will stay up an extra half hour, 45 minutes
just to watch it.
Just to watch.
It was a fun little 80s movie. It was different, though. It wasn't your standard good times 80s movie. It was it had a darker take to it. But anyway, so if you combine the conspiracy world with this topic, it is by far the most combustible thing I've ever seen, which is, you're taking people, generally conspiracy people, that don't trust anyone anyway, and then you throw in a topic that everyone's first reaction is ridicule or laughter or denial or just roll your eyes. And which is, people say, why don't you turn on your comments? And believe me, I have not had that many people, I've had more people say, thank God you didn't turn on your comments for this, for my videos, because look, it's ugly out there. If anyone has any doubts, go to the other people. Most of the people leave their comments on. The battles just rage. And it's not even just in the comments. It's gotten to the point, and we'll touch on this as we go down through the list, where this thing is so debatable. It is so hot that comments isn't even good enough. they have to make a video in retaliation against this topic. That you do not see very often, where there's so many people coming out and saying, I hate flat Earth and everyone that supports it, and here's why. People that have never made a YouTube video are coming out and doing it. So,
you know what I don't get though?
What?
It's not like when you have a favorite team and somebody attacks your team or your ethnicity. If you're some people are like, I'm proud to be Italian, and like, nah, Portuguese are better.
Yeah.
I don't understand the emotional attachment to this topic. It's not like belief in God where it's challenging your religious or spiritual beliefs. I don't know why it's generating.
Why it pushes people's buttons?
Yeah, to me it's like watching a sci-fi movie. It's like, is it flat or is it round? Like is there a barrier or is there not? Like,
yeah.
And yet all of us are stuck.
Yeah.
For lack of a better, we don't have a jet that can go, or a spaceship, and we don't have a boat that can go to the edge of whatever.
Yeah.
So I just don't get it. I don't understand why it's so personal.
I've seen enough arguments on this that it's personal. Well, I had that lady that walked off. That she was a co-host on that show that I did recently, and she walked off because she just couldn't handle it. And I think it's because with anything this big, you and I have talked about this before, where it's not like your garden variety conspiracy where it's like, JFK, yeah, it's an interesting conspiracy, but how does it really affect you? And this one, it does affect you, or it but they're defending that. It's like, no, this is my world.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say there's other things that more directly affect us. For example, if let's say chemtrails, because we'll talk about conspiracies then.
Yeah.
If they're actually putting something caustic in the materials that they're spraying, because we already know they're spraying it, right? People have come out and spoken, congressmen, I think. But the point is if it's something caustic and it's dangerous and poisonous to us, then then we want to know about it because it's affecting us every day.
Yeah.
If they're really using something that's inert and just for tracking purpose or whatever the hell they're using it up there for, then okay, just acknowledge that it's real, but it's actually safe. You see what I'm saying? Like that affects me more on a daily basis because I breathe it in every day.
Yeah, and that's
the word. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's an excellent point. Because what's the difference between you're right? Chemtrails should affect everybody because it's being sprayed everywhere.
Right.
But the reaction to chemtrails isn't nearly as knee jerk, hostile. We've got all flat earthers are idiots type of response. And for me, it comes down to the conditioning. And that is the difference is we didn't learn about chemtrails when we were children. This is one of remember how I told you that the first time I ever clicked on this, I physically got embarrassed. I physically got flushed because I couldn't figure out why. It's like, why am I embarrassed to click on this? It's because we have been conditioned since we have been old enough to form, thought that this is where we live. And to change that, what's that thing they say? When you get those things that the list that rank stress, they say the most stressful thing ever in your life is moving. If you move an apartment or you move from house to house or whatever it is.
Sure.
Multiply that by factors, and that's what you got here. Because it's not like you're moving down the street. Oh no, your whole world moved, and you're still in it. I think that people just, and you can agree or disagree, but I think people just, it's been in their heads for so long that it's not that they have to get their head around it. It's that you've got to break out of conditioning that you've had for your whole life.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: if you had a rank, and maybe I have to say prior to you doing the research on this, if you had a top 10 list of conspiracies, where would you have placed flat Earth?
Before I did this?
Yeah, I would say not at all.
It's not on the list. In fact, I joked about it that when you open up a new deck of playing cards,
right?
You go through the cards and maybe you use the jokers, maybe you don't, depending on how much of a purist you are when you're playing poker. But there's always that card in there. Nowadays, there's like an instruction card for like gin or, something like that. And you just toss that card. You may keep it in the deck, or most of the time you just throw it out, right? That's how I treated Flat Earth. It wasn't even a card to be considered. It was like, oh yeah, this stupid thing. And so no, it was never on the list. Why would it be? Again, it was in front of my face 15 years ago. Never saw it. You couldn't see the forest for the trees. And now that I've seen it, it's not only is it the biggest conspiracy of all time. I even take it out of the conspiracy classification. It's bigger than just the word conspiracy. It's something, if there is such a word for such a thing. It's all encompassing. It envelops all other conspiracies underneath it. What does JFK mean to this?
That's good. That's a good point.
So it's and again, because of that, that's why there's such a huge push against it. That and again the conditioning, and we'll talk about this as we go on. But the reason why I don't get upset, like you do.
I don't get upset. I get passionate.
What was this story I was going to tell? I was going to make up a story. It was a good one though. It was like, I don't, it takes a lot for me to get angry, but I remember the other day when we were down the NSA commissary, and it was Thursday, and it was supposed to be corn dogs, and there weren't any. And you got so angry that you went to the calendar on the wall and you ripped it down and you threw it at the cook and said, "Where are my goddamn corn dogs?"
I was like Rorschach in The Watchmen.
There you go.
As they were pulling me away.
I know. I thought you were going to draw your sidearm and shoot somebody, and I thought that was just so inappropriate. But then again, that shows the comparison between the two. That is not a real story, just so you know. I had somebody email me and ask me if I really did live down at the Denver center, the government center down here in Denver. And I said, no, man, that's just part of the radio show.
That's an honest mistake. I can see how people would make that.
And I try to remind people, it's like, look, I opened every show with that I'm broadcasting from a spaceship. So it's anyway. So where were we before this?
I took us down the path of the scope of what does flat Earth actually mean?
Oh yeah.
And,
yeah.
I wanted to say something else to that before you go.
Sure.
My turn.
Go ahead.
No, like I said, if I was going to make a list, I have to think of it from two different lists, actually.
Okay.
One, where does it affect us that when the truth comes out, it collapses all of society? Flat Earth, I think, will be one of them because, like you said, it's all encompassing. It would open other cans of worms.
Yeah.
Right? GMOs, possibly, what they put in vaccinations, chemtrails, things like that. That affects me every day. So, again, that would only affect me if the truth came out. And then it would affect a bigger it would affect corporations and so on and so forth. But it wouldn't collapse all society. Yeah. If aliens appeared, I mean, if you look in movies, the only movie that ever addressed something like that was when Morgan Freeman said to the American people he was playing the president, you can name the movie, he says, everything's going to go on as normal. Nobody's going to riot or loot. The economy's going to stay aloft.
Yep.
What am I Deep Impact.
Yeah, that was Deep Impact. And, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so now let's say we have whoever the next president may be.
Yeah.
Let's say we actually get somebody good in there.
Okay.
And they just get on camera and you say, you know what, we're going to break with all convention. We're just done with this BS because obviously nothing's working. Economies are collapsing, Greece, all this other stuff. Let's just divulge everything and see what we can make of it.
Yeah.
And say they start going down the list and they say, okay, JFK, here's what happened. UFOs, here's what actually happened.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. Don't you think in that way, like it would be more positive? Like people would say, oh man, like, all right, now we know what we're working with. Let's. Do you think there would be as much infighting and derision?
I mean, some people have said, there'll be hands in the air screaming type of stuff, but I disagree. And what I try to say is because, excuse me,
I'm bringing this up for a reason. I'll tell you in a moment.
Oh, okay. There's been a bunch of comments that people have asked me. It's like, what does it matter? And I smile every time I see this. What does it matter whether it's flat or round? Excuse me, 1 second. What does it matter whether it's flat or round? And I said, and I'm trying to say, look, you really don't think people are going to care? It's going to change a lot of stuff. Industries will have to change entirely. There'll be entire industries that'll fold. There'll be industries that'll emerge out of nothing. Entire cities will move. Religions will make these massive pilgrimages. It may not affect you. Yeah, you may walk outside and look up at the sky, go, yeah, whatever, and go back inside. But there'll be a bunch of your neighbors that will absolutely care. It'll be the biggest topic since ever. It'll be huge. It'll give people hope. Not like the old Obama poster hope. I mean, like real hope.
Right.
because it'll have the chance. It's like, okay, maybe we are one family, maybe we are one community, and I see the potential for such a positive change that I couldn't ignore it. I was not going to go down the dark and sinister path on this. But other people say, "Oh, it's the Matrix. It's a prison planet. We're trapped." Yeah, maybe, but maybe it's also the galvanizing force.
Yeah, and I've always said, we talked about this off air.
Yeah,
Those that have nothing to lose, that are already in impoverished countries, that have no skin in the game, let's
yeah,
say, that they're not heavily invested in big pharma or big government or military industrial complex,
yeah,
they have nothing to lose. They have everything to gain.
yeah,
People with fundamentalist or rigid beliefs, or who are polarized into certain political views, or whatever they're engaged in,
yeah,
they have a lot to lose, because they lose control and power, of course.
yeah. Yeah,
So
and industries that focus on negative things. I don't want to go on the whole transcendental negative energy. Captain. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, but what I'm saying is, right now where we are, where I see all these different people, because you've turned me on to a lot more flat Earth videos and stuff. You're always sending me links. Oh, check this out. Check this out.
Yeah.
And what I see right now is, again, it doesn't affect me tomorrow. I still got to pay the bills. It doesn't matter if the Earth is round or flat. As far as I'm concerned, even some people have an idea of what gravity is or isn't. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, I care. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm passionate about it. Like, I'm researching.
Yeah.
But until the truth actually finally comes out, it's
Yeah.
not going to affect my life.
Yeah, which is weird compared to the rest of the conspiracies, because if this thing comes out, and I firmly believe there's something in the works here to where this is going to be revealed. I do not know the details, but I've got this weird tingly thing about it that, yeah, it'll be, every day will be the same as the rest until it happens. So it's like, okay, your normal life, all of a sudden it's revealed, and then everything changes instantly. And, yeah, maybe it'll take a few days, but everything at that point will start to change. At very least the consciousness of people, the mood. I mean, it'll be all anyone talks about. And where do we go from here? What happens now? That'll be the big question. In fact, that should be a T-shirt. Should somebody write that down?
And I'm thinking too, from the perspective of somebody who's 43 and been through a lot of life changes and had a lot of downfalls, whether it's divorce or loss in any way.
Yeah.
You mature and you can handle a lot more. You have a lot more intestinal fortitude to deal with crisis. Somebody younger might be like, "Oh crap! Like this shifts everything." Or somebody who's like an old dog, like my dad, and be like, "Oh my God, what does this mean? Like what my whole life?" They might not be able to understand it. Again, if the whole sky opened up and it was like the top of a hamster cage with a big hand coming in, or looking in on us, again, I don't know. I don't know how I'll feel at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on how it's handled, I would think that whoever designed the place would come up with some sort of elegant solution to where it would be really, really cool. Not to play too much on the Reagan speech though from the late 80s, where he was talking about would we still go to war? Wouldn't we all become one people if there was a threat? Or it doesn't even really have to be a threat, as long as the perspective is put in place to where we know we're all part of the same family. That's the big thing. It's like, okay, because human beings have a really weird, and you've heard of this in movies, where it's like, as long as we have a common goal, or even a common threat or whatever it is, we can do great things. But left to our own devices, if we have nothing but idle hands, we turn on each other. Quickly, viciously, and it's like all that energy. It's like the energy's got to go somewhere, and so we turn it internally, and we turn it on ourselves, which is. And
I'm going to say something else too. I know we have a lot to talk about tonight, but I'm going to be the devil's advocate. But I'm also going to say I'm more apt to be the shill. If anybody wants to call anybody a shill, Jonathan, the sidekick, is more the shill than Mark, because I can justify and see why, whether it's a New World Order, whatever you want to say, is more correct or more justified in doing in some of what they do, as opposed to not. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
If you see a camera in a parking lot, okay, and it's a surveillance camera, some people might look at that and say, "Oh my God, it's intrusion of privacy. It's Big Brother. It's all this other stuff." Okay, tell that to the young girl who was unfortunately raped or assaulted in that parking lot, because for the longest time it was never there. I mean, I'm just thinking of an incident that happened at a local community college.
Yeah.
And once they put them up and they actually had somebody monitoring there was less incidents in this one area.
Yeah.
So again, everything could have a good and a bad, of course. Now, the flip side of that, when there's that trust and you have the right people that are on, like you said, in the same frame of mind, they think alike and they have a common goal.
Yeah.
We have an honor box where Melissa and I work, and when people want to pay cash or something like that, we even have change in a drawer. They just pull out and take their change, and it's on an honor system.
Nice.
And we've never had money stolen in 2 years. Why is that?
That's fantastic.
You see what I'm saying? So it goes both ways. You can take it to one extreme or the other. Yes, and of course, people that go towards certain positions of power, they could be corrupted, or they just have a certain psychological profile, and they take advantage of that position. And of course, they can abuse those powers. Yeah. Again, I'm not defending either. I'm just saying that there's always two or three or many ways to look at something, and just I don't know. I don't see all the bad. I
agree. Yeah. And 30 seconds before we go to break, or 40 seconds, the what I wanted to mention was, because people say, if this is revealed, isn't this sort of an overlord thing? I was going, no. Think of it, I came up with a decent analogy. Think of it like when you were small and your parents were sitting on the couch, or your dad or your mom, whoever was, just reading the paper. They weren't looking at you, but you knew they were there. Every once in a while, they might drop the paper just a little bit to find out what the heck you were doing, but you weren't going to screw around. You weren't going to start busting up stuff because your parent was there on the couch. Just a little friendly little nudge, little reminder, no different than the traffic cams. Parent in the room is what I try to say. So anyway,
you must have had good parents. Not all of us did.
Yeah, I did. I actually did have pretty good parents. They were fairly nice, and plus I grew up on an island, so we had to try to get at it. We had to make our own trouble. Anyway, we're coming back with a break with more video. We're actually going to talk about some videos eventually here, and so we'll be back.
Cool.
Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew. Fridays on Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, here with Jonathan, and we are talking flat Earth friendship. Because sharing is caring.
That was nice, man.
Thank you. Actually, it's funny because some of the there's a slide I picked where to intersperse with the nature slides. Every once in a while I'll do that with guests, and the one that I picked, it says friendship is universal, but you got to be old enough to know the reference, and it's from the '80s series V.
Oh, okay.
Where they got the posters around town, with the red Michael Jackson jackets and their sunglasses, and friendship is universal. So I'm hoping people will pick up on that. So where we left off was we were kind of talking about, what happens if this really, comes to pass, and how it changes some people and it doesn't change others, and how there's been so much resistance, and how, again, it jolts people. Absolutely. And in fact, I mentioned in a forum post the other day, I said, look, if your first reaction isn't ridicule or laughter, I think that there's something wrong with you. Because that's what everybody's response really, really should be. What's that? I can't remember. I can't quote the guy. Someone will have to look it up. Where when faced with a truth, a real big truth, the first reaction is always ridicule, followed by heated, debate or resistance, followed by acceptance. which is really just a short version of the 5 stages of acceptance. But so every time I see debunkers, and we'll go through some of these guys eventually here. I know we're transgressing, or I'm sorry, we're getting off topic. But when debunkers come out and make videos, I just smile, because look, and people say, "Why don't you get upset?" Are you kidding? I was that guy. Absolutely. I tried to debunk this thing. I tried to take Matt's story and I tried to tear it apart, looking at other things, and I couldn't do it. So anyway, did you have any something you wanted to throw in at me?
No, no. It's just thinking about the way you came into the show. You know, who you reminded me of, actually. Do you remember Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy
Thanks.
on SNL? That's what it reminded me of.
Oh, when I the lead in on this?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Flat Earth friendship.
Deep Thoughts by Mark Sargent.
Because friendship is universal. And again, I've got to repeat this. Look, I am only going to say, if I don't comment on your video, it's not that I hated it. I'm just not a big believer. I'm a believer that, look, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything. Don't attack something. Don't tear somebody apart, especially in the YouTube thing. If they're trying to make something, if you're trying to create something, put something out there, don't just go out and attack it personally, which I know everyone takes this topic personally right off the bat. They say, their rebuttal, it's not a rebuttal when you say, look, you're an idiot. That's not a rebuttal. It's like anyone that thinks that the earth is flat is stupid. And you hear this thing over and over and over. And again, it's great. That means it's in your head. And some of the people that said it, they're going to be pulled into the quicksand along with us. You should join us. It's pretty nice in here.
That's what's, and it's funny, because some of these people too, they'll just keep posting and posting and posting replies. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, like, this person really affects you that greatly that you spend the time to, like, you think about them. You're thinking about the next comeback, and you can't wait to get back and see what they say to you.
Yeah.
And they're really they get obsessed.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you one guy. I shouldn't give him too much credit, but I watched him. His name was Trutheracy, and he's spent a lot of time trying to debunk stuff, and he actually gets, he's got a pretty decent following base and quite a few vids out there, but when he gets on something, he is really stubborn. He made like a 12-part series, 12 parts, and he numbered them of how much he hated the White Rabbit channel. I just kept hammering on this guy. And then all of a sudden his focus was directed at Flat Earth. Not me specifically, but Flat Earth. Mm. And he's already done, I think, 3 parts. And White Rabbit, if you're listening right now, you should be sending me cookies, because I took him away from you. I pulled that dog off. But his ratings are just getting pummeled against the Flat Earth, and that's what makes it very different, different thing for him. But I don't know. I think he's too stubborn to give up. Some debunkers, they give up pretty quickly, and we'll get to that in a minute. Others, they just keep going, but it's fine. It's like, look, some people take longer. Some people have taken a couple days. Some people take weeks to get their head around this. It took me a long time. I'm a great problem solver. Actually, I am not fast, but when once I get through it, I eventually come to the point. It's like, okay, I give up. I was wrong, and in this case, the globe was wrong. So, anyway, so let's get to it, shall we? So what I'm basically doing here is I'm going to go through. I've got a couple screens up. I typed in, like, on YouTube. I just typed in Flat Earth, didn't set the filter to anything, and I've also got my playlist, my Flat Earth related playlist. So people ask me, it's like, oh, who else can you recommend? These are the people that I recommend. So I'm not going to go down any particular order. I'm just going to mention people as I see them on screen. But there are 2 people I've got to mention because it's got to be addressed, because I've gotten too many questions over these last month 5 we're on. Too many questions. The first one is Eric, and I have to bring this up because Eric used to be on my playlist, and no matter what he said, yes, I know I made Public Enemy #1 is on his enemies list. And for those of you who don't know what an enemies list is, look up Richard Nixon, because he was the last guy I think that actually did it. Eric actually posted a full-blown. In fact, Eric's list put Nixon's to shame because he had pictures and links and all sorts of fun things, and he went in great detail. Nixon just had an enemies list, saying, "Man, I should kill" at some point. But Eric did this, and even though I was on the enemies list, I still recommended his videos because he has a lot of content out there. He had made over 30 flat Earth videos in a row. And there was a lot of stuff, and so many people had come to me and emailed me or called me and says, yeah, I saw Eric's stuff first, and then I got to you. But when Eric did his little whatever he did last week, where he decided he wanted to put out an anti-group video, I'm not going to mention it. I'm not going to give it credit on air. When he decided to make that 4-hour video, it changed the tone of things. It wasn't even flat Earth related in any way. It was like, I'm going to make flat Earth. Oh yeah, by the way, I hate this group. And excuse me. And I really didn't know what to make of it. So I'm just going to say, it's like, look, Eric's videos are out there, but I can't endorse them anymore because I disagree with his view on this. It's look, I firmly believe when I say at the end of everything, treat others better than you treat yourself. I'm not kidding when I say this. And if this thing comes out, if this enclosed world thing does come out, we are all in it together. So you got, yeah, I know. If we're one big family, some family members don't like other family members, but I wouldn't care if he came out against the Amish. I'd still react the same way. If he did a 4-hour piece on how much he hated their carts and buggies and that they dress in black and their dumb hats and all that, I'd still say, look, why are you doing this? It's not productive at all. It's counterproductive. Look, be nice, be nice to people. It does. It
and I know what video you're talking about. It doesn't even have anything to do about the flat Earth. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole nother,
he didn't even. The lucky thing was that he didn't even put flat Earth in the title or the keywords.
Thank God.
Thank God, because I would hate to see people go to the flat Earth topic and then go down that road. So no, excuse me, cookie in my throat.
You're eating too many cookies.
I did. I ate way too much that purple pudding cookie, and now it's stuck in my throat. I will clear it though during the next break, I swear. So if anyone asks me in interviews, I'm just not going to address him anymore because look, he's taken his own path. I wish he'd change. If you're listening, man, wish you'd retract that thing and go on and do some more positive things in your life. The other guy I want to mention, which is not nearly as bad as Eric, is Matt Boylan, otherwise known as Math Powerland from the NASA channel. And I still, to this day, and I'll have to dig up one of his videos and add it to my playlist, because I think anyone that's looking in this topic has to, if you want required reading, there's very few things I would actually say is absolutely required reading, but it's a great story because he's the closest thing to a whistleblower that's out there. And it is Matt's story about how when he was in his 20s, how he was working, he was a Canadian working as a contract artist for NASA. And that NASA, during a party, when the wine was flowing, revealed to him that the Earth wasn't actually round, that it was flat. And they drew it out for him on the ground in chalk. And that was looked like, and he didn't get it. He thought it was a joke, and it took him years to finally come out and talk about it. And that one video, in my opinion, is by far his best work. And I know it was his girlfriend. I can't remember his girlfriend's name, or if he ever told me who it was. But his girlfriend sat him down. It was a real quiet interview, very straight to the point, and it's brilliant. It gave me goosebumps when I watched it, and it was part of the reason why we're talking now. Is because I tried to debunk that. I was going, yeah, it's a great story, Hollywood, Sci-Fi Channel movie type story, but I wanted to tear it apart. It's like, okay, there's got to be a way to get through this, and I couldn't do it. But that being said, ever since then, he's done a lot more art pieces and stuff where he's half in the bag, and he goes off on rants and that's part of him. He's a very, very creative guy, and he doesn't like editing a lot of his stuff. If it was me, and this is just constructive criticism, man, I would be telling that story every chance I got. I would do the interviews. I know he doesn't do the interviews, but I would tell that story. So I'd tell it to people.
And I'm being quiet because, like you said, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
I know you're mad about.
No, I'm not mad about it.
I know Matt came out and made the video and tore Eric up, and he said some unkind things about me, and I get it because Matt and I had talked, and he wanted me to go a certain way, and I disagreed. He and I differed on a few things on how this should be presented or how I should present it. And, my argument was, and most people don't know this, but I'm going to say it on air. It's like, look, those first, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 interviews that I did, those people were calling me looking for him.
Right. I remember that when that was happening because I just got to know you.
Yeah. They were saying, look, how do we track him down? I go, look, here's his email address. Look, here's his email address. Can you give me his phone number? No, I cannot.
You've been very, and you take the high road. You've been very tactful and diplomatic and very kind about all this because there's a lot on air that you're not putting out there to save everybody from embarrassment. Yeah. Like emails and things that you received and stuff that was said. Yeah. And you even conferred with me and said, what do you think about this? Like, how would you read this?
Yeah.
And again, I now have to talk to you off air about it.
Yeah, we'll talk off air about it.
But you know what I'm saying? Like you were just like you were concerned. Like I don't see, and you said to me, I don't see what this has to do with the flat Earth. Like I don't know why they would want me to go after this group or attack this person or say this. And it's like, and that the whole time you kept speaking highly of these people, and I was using a different derogatory word for these people, and it's my favorite word, clown. Yeah. And I just like, I don't know. That's why I was getting disgusted. I didn't even want to get caught up with it. I was like, Mark, I watched your videos. It was entertaining. It made me really ponder and think. But if this is how it's going to be, I don't even want to deal with these people.
Yeah.
It's like being back in high school.
Agreed. And which is why I've always prided myself on staying focused, staying on point. And because I think this thing, when we can already see it, this thing's not only is it not going away, it's growing, it's getting bigger and wider. There are so many more people looking at this thing to the point where basically once people get past the embarrassment stage, they're forwarding it off to Facebook, and tweeting about it and throwing, people are making more videos every day to the point where I'm having a really tough time keeping track of the stuff that's being put out there every day. So that was my goal. I wanted to make sure it's like, look, let them come, let them yell. You want to call me a shill? Fine. You want to call me a gatekeeper? Fine. It doesn't matter because this thing's bigger than me. It's not about me. People want to interview and talk about it. Look, if you make enough good videos, people will call you. Look at Jaronism. He's done interviews already. He's just put out some stuff. People want to talk about this, which is why I try to tell Matt, it's like, look, Matt, do the freaking interviews. And I know he's got his reasons, maybe he was told at one point that he shouldn't talk about it anymore. If you're a whistleblower, you would probably get contacted. It'll probably sound glib when I say this, but look, you want to live forever? Go. You want to be a legend, then be a legend. Talk about it. Get out there. I mean, he knows the names, but he won't say it. Enough about him. He's got his reasons. I respect his creativity. Hope he does. Whatever moves he makes next. I hope they're the good ones. So moving down the list, there's a couple other people I want to talk about because I get these every once in a while. Every once in a while, someone will send me, and you've probably seen it too. I know you've seen it. The Vsauce video, because he is. Everyone knows who Vsauce is. Hopefully you do. Vsauce, Vsauce, and his video is called "Is Earth Actually Flat?" And you got to remember, he is like the millennials version of Schoolhouse Rock. Educators, for whatever reason, he is endorsed, not necessarily by schools officially, but people get sent. If you're a young kid, you get sent to his videos a lot. It's like, tell us how water boils. It's like in Vsauce, he's really energetic. He's kind of like a coked up version of Bill Nye. Really, you've seen his videos, remember? Yeah. He pops up on screen. It's like Vsauce. He does that. He's real super peppy, and But he did a video 7 months ago, several months, 2 months before this thing actually started, if you believe in predictive programming. And he says the Earth actually flat. And he goes into it a little bit. He kind of tries to play neutral, but really he believes in the globe. But it's got 6 million hits. So it always comes up in the top 10 under any search engine because it gets so many hits. But you got to remember, most of those hits are from grade school. So I just want to bring it out there. It's like, do I recommend this video? No, I do not. I can't, because it has really nothing to do with the whole flat Earth movement.
Well, and that's the problem with the internet too, and all these forums. And it's not not just this topic, but all the conspiracy forums.
Yeah.
The demographic. I mean, you can have a young kid on there who's 12, 13, 14, just researching for the first time and is interested, really like a little kid is, and UFOs and all this other crap.
Yeah.
And you get these people that are I don't know, they're just jaded or cynical. You know, I picture these people sitting at home all the time with too much time on their hands. That's why they're always on making a comment on every thread. These are the kind of people that say, you post something and they're like, oh, that's old news. It's already been posted here before. Really? Well, it's new to me because I'm busy living my life, you loser. Yeah, maybe if you're refreshing your screen all day and you're on 13, 15 hours in a forum, like, you don't know who's on the other end of that freaking name, that facade of a screen name.
Yeah.
It could be a 13-year-old kid. So, like, who cares if it's not news to you?
Yeah.
But I thought that guy was entertaining. My son would watch that and laugh. You're right. It's like a Bill Nye type.
Yeah,
I would just be like, all right, this is sophomoric. I wouldn't watch this.
But I will say this, at least he touches
tonight.
Yeah, I can. I remember Flat Earth Friendship with Jonathan.
I'm your wingman. I'm like the sidearm.
Jonathan shooting people in the face currently.
It's those damn corn dogs they didn't have.
But it's the corn. No, it's the corn dogs you didn't get.
That's right. Still thinking about it. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Anyway, so yeah, the Bill Nye one. Sorry, not Bill Nye. Jaron is. I'm sorry. Wow. Vsauce. Yeah, Vsauce. I do not recommend it because it's if some people are looking at it, don't even watch it because it has nothing to do with this. It's just him doing a quick. It might as well have been Bill Nye, a quick scientific thing. Jaronism. For those of you who have not seen a lot of the work, and it's spelled Jeranism. He has been putting out. He's. I'll steal a Men in Black version or quote right now, and that is he's the new hotness right now. He's putting out a ton of stuff. He's going out and doing tests. He's getting a lot of hits. The video I'm looking at here is called "Flat Earth Proof: We Don't Live on a Globe." Intellectuals cry. Creative, clever. Putting out just vid after vid. Speaks well, interviews well. For those of people out there looking for a new person to interview that guy. He can. We had him on this show at one point, and he did very well. And if I might add, I don't have any really recommendations other than I think he should if his wife is as forthcoming as he is, that she should have her own show, that she should do her own thing, and they should be a tag. They should be a tag team because we really need women, and we'll get into that a little bit later. There's still not a lot of women that are touching on this. There are a few, but there are not that many. It's still pretty much a male oriented thing right now. So, Russian vids. He makes some decent stuff. The one I'm looking at here, 1892 flat Earth map found at Boston Library, the Falkland Island War and Deception Island. Not a ton of hits yet, but it's only 5 days old. It's really getting up there. There's one guy who's been I got to mention him. This guy he had before he started doing the YouTube stuff, he had his own website called Wakey Wakey, which is spelled WAYKI and then again, and he's getting a whole bunch of hits. But he had my initial videos on his website, and now he's making his own, which is freaking fantastic. There was another guy, Higher Side Chats, Dan Flynn. Oh yeah, Rob Skiba. I got to mention him. Okay, so because people keep sending me links, it's because they say, "Hey, have you ever heard of Rob Skiba?" It's like, you should watch this video, because they keep sending me videos that he made after he interviewed me, and it's like, have you ever heard of him? I was going, yes, I heard of him. Okay, one, Rob's got a program on the same network that we're on. We're on Truth Frequency Radio, and Rob's got a thing on there. And that's how we got our show.
That helps.
Yeah, it's like Rob. I was interviewed by Chris and Cherie, and then Rob interviewed me, and he, right after the show ended, that's when Chris and Cherie contacted me and says, "Hey, what do you think about doing your own show?" So yes, I know Rob very well in this case, and Rob is an interesting story because, and I recommend his stuff from a different take on it. And he interviewed me back 2 months ago, and now that interview I think's got 20,000 hits, and he was kind of a skeptic, but he was coming at it from from the Christian faith angle. He quoted a lot of chapter and verse, and he really didn't know. And it started, you could hear his wheels turning at the end of that interview. And then finally, towards the real end of it, I could tell that he was going to start digging into this, and he's a big research guy. So he starts digging into it, and next thing you know, he is just putting out hours and hours and hours of video, and he's really going down, because people say, well, why don't you go down more the religious path? And I say, no, I do not have to. There's already a guy that's just rolling with that, and his name's Rob Skiba. If you are a Christian and you want to know chapter and verse, everything that's tied to the flat earth, that's the guy. As a matter of fact, I think it's called testingtheglobe.com. It's his own website, and it's just massive amounts of content. But
I'm just laughing. I'm picturing all these flat earthers.
Yeah.
That are like, please don't say my name. Please don't endorse me. I don't want to be associated with you.
Oh, that's right. Because if I mentioned you on the show, you're probably a shill. No. So that's not true.
It's like the kiss of death.
It is not the kiss of death. Although if I was a gatekeeper, I suppose that would be the kiss of death. No, I'm going to call out these people. No, that's what this is about. Flat Earth friendship.
Okay.
I know it's a silly name. It's not like Super Friends. And I actually was going to include most people, if you're old enough to get this, they haven't done this in years. Mortal Kombat. You remember that old game?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, since the 80s, one of the finishing moves, if you didn't want to kill him, was literally called friendship. where you did it, and whoever it was, Kang would give whoever a balloon or something like that, or pat them on the head, and the screen would go friendship, and it was hilarious. And nobody did it though, because you always wanted the violent ending. But I thought it was great. I was going to include those clips, but they weren't that good, and I didn't know if anyone would get it. So yeah, Rob Skiba, now officially a shill, because I consider him a friend of mine. But no, he's made a whole bunch of stuff to where it's incredible, the amount of content. So if you're a Christian and you're looking for the flat Earth take from because I get a lot of emails from religious people, that's the guy you want to look at first. As far as the other faiths go, I don't have anyone specific to recommend. You're just gonna have to do your own stuff. Maybe somebody will come out from Hinduism or Buddhism or Judaism or Islam, but they have not to date. Christianity, of course, it was going to happen first, because we're in the United States. Before we go to break, I'll mention one more person, because we got a minute or so before we go to the next break. And that would be, this is the guy I got to mention. This would be a good one to go to break. Rolling Thunder. He's actually on my my playlist for Flat Earth related. He did some interesting videos. I'm sorry, it's not on my liked one. It's on my other one. 1 second. It's on Flat Earth related. Yeah, Rolling Thunder. He did a wonderful video called "The Earth is Flat." The planes help to prove the plane, and he used the Fantasy Island intro. Where Tattoo is going, the plane.
Yeah.
And he also did one called "The Earth is Flat. Fake flights help to prove the plane." But he really doesn't like me. He thinks I'm a gatekeeper, and so he made a video 5 days ago called "Flat Earth Gatekeeper Mark K. Sargent." And it's like, man, I like your videos. I really like the stuff you do. But again, I know people, trust is a hard thing to do. So, I'm officially saying, look, great stuff. Keep it up. You do some good work there. So we're going to go to break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about more videos, more friendly things.
Not from me. I'm going to say something.
Okay. We'll be back.
is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
Welcome back to Strange World. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, with Jonathan from Jersey. And we're talking about flat earth friendship. and I have to mention before you go into your rant that the reason why I ask for cookies, people say, Mark, why don't you ask for money? Why don't you have a Fund Me page? You know, why are you living off of nothing and eating dryer lint and ice cubes for dessert? And the reason is because basically, why do I ask for cookies? And you want to know why I ask for cookies? Because they're flat and round. That's why I ask for them. And there's nothing sad about cookies. Cookies is a happy thing. It's a positive thing. So between those two things, cookies are a positive flat earth reinforcement tool. See what I'm doing there? That's what gatekeepers do. Yeah.
Who was the first to give you cookies?
You were. You were the first person, and he got a radio show co-host out of it.
See that?
I know. See?
I wasn't even trying for that.
No, but yeah, people. In fact, there was a guy that made a video the other day, and I just cracked up because he was going over. He was saying that nature makes all these spheres. That because eyeballs basically are round and fruit is round, that obviously proves the Earth's round. And I said, you know who makes a lot of flat things though? We do. Think of all the food we make that is flat and round. Lots of it.
Well, that's a good point.
Tons of it. I mean, take your pick. Pizza, tortillas, cookies, those funny looking sandwiches. Anyway, so you were going to say something about the guy that I still, by the way, and you can yell at me if you want, but yeah, I still have Rolling Thunder 42. He is still on my short playlist. I have 2 videos of his that I recommend to people, and yeah, he's still calling me a gatekeeper, which is fine. And your response is?
No, what I was going to say...
Something else.
Oh, no, well, it's along this line. Trust me, if we're gatekeepers and chills, as soon as they give us the script and the truth about all this, I already told Mark, I said, we're not telling anybody. More than half the people that want to know aren't worth sharing it with. I'm sorry.
Oh, so if we finally get the information that shows that it's actually an enclosed system, we're just not going to, we're going to keep it to ourselves.
Yeah, no, we're not sharing it with the wackadoos and everybody else that goes to the regular conspiracy. We're going to go only to those that have a scientific mind or who can handle this stuff or have proven that they can, look at both sides of the issue and speak in a rational, nice, kind manner.
Isn't that sort of what they did in 2012 with John Cusack?
Did they really?
Well, they called everybody up and said, okay, it's really happening. Get on the boat.
There you go. I mean, that's it. If we're going to be tapped by the elite, that's it. We're selling out. We're going on the boat.
Wow. Thanks, man. You just bought me probably 20 or 30 hate meals just for the week. That's great.
No, but think about it. If you had the absolute truth and you had it all in front of you, now you hand it, let's say you give it out. I think somebody did something like that. Who the heck was it? Do you remember that guy from, his name was Joe Firmage? He wrote a book called Truth. Didn't I tell you about him?
No. What did he do?
He was the CEO of some big company, and he had an epiphany, and he wanted to change the world, and I don't know what the heck he was doing. He was meditating or something. Yeah. But, he ruined his business, I think.
Yeah.
But what he put out there, he was like just giving it freely to everybody. He's saying, I don't want to copyright this. I don't want to sell it. I just want to give it to everybody because I think it's an idea.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes if you had the information handed to you and they said, yeah, do what you want with it. We trust you. We want to see where it goes because we can tell you right now, nobody's going to buy it anyway. Nobody's going to believe you. So go ahead and tell anybody you want.
Wow.
It's almost like that favorite joke. Remember that joke I told you?
Which one?
Tell you real quick. Tell the whole audience.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, just be between us and whoever's on air.
No, but this is how I feel the conspiracy circles go.
Okay.
This priest, he loved God, but he really loved playing golf even more. It was really a sin how much he loved playing golf.
Okay.
So he fakes being sick one Sunday, and he asks another priest to cover him. And then he looks both ways, gets in his car, and he drives about 100 miles away to this golf course. So St. Peter's looking down at him, and he's saying, I can't believe this. He goes, you gonna let him get away with that? And God's like, no, I already got it covered. I see everything. So the guy tees up on the first hole, 480 yards, whacks it. The ball goes down the fairway, true as can be, bounces, 2 bounces, goes hole in one.
Okay.
St. Peter looks at God and he says, are you kidding me? I thought you said you got this. He goes, I do. He goes, who's he going to tell?
Nice.
So really, when they give you the truth, when they give you the script to read off,
yeah,
nobody will believe it anyway. And the reason I'm telling you this, because I was going to tell you this earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told it on air. Years ago, I was doing UFO research with somebody back in 97, I want to say.
Yeah.
He went on to work for NIDS, by the way, with Bigelow.
Okay.
And we met somebody in New York. I won't name names.
Okay.
The guy was from England, and he came up to this guy and he says, listen, he goes, I've been tapped. And he goes, what do you mean? He says, my work's not my work anymore. He says, they're actually feeding it to me to put out there.
Wow.
And he goes, really? He says, yeah. And he goes, and if you keep going down the path you're on, he goes, they're going to come to you too. Trust me.
Wow.
And yeah, he was kind of giving him like, your work's being looked at.
Which is why, I'll tell people, and, if that happened with Eric, it's very possible that they would have gone out to Thailand to do it. But in my case, look, I've been so focused and so straight on point with this that you'll know if somebody gets to me because I'll probably be dead. Because if they handed me the script, I'd be like, this is so far out of character, no one's going to believe it anyway. So
right.
we might as well play Russian roulette right now. So
we don't have that information yet. I'm just putting it out.
Yeah,
there.
we don't. No, we don't. No, to this day, again, I appreciate the gatekeeper compliments because I think that's kind of a promotion from General Shill. But it hasn't happened. Suits and sunglasses have not been at my door yet. We'll see if that changes. Anyway, other people. In fact, speaking of people that try to debunk this, there's a guy out there. His YouTube handle is Mr. Thrive and Survive. I love his story because he started out. He's a perfect example of how this works. And that is, he started out, he felt so strongly that the earth was a globe that he started making videos and saying, it's a globe and here's why. It's a globe and here's why. It's a globe. And then all of a sudden he turned. And now he's making flat videos. In fact, the last one that he made 2 weeks ago, it's got 14,000 hits or something, is called Flat Earth Basic Q&A Part 1. He's making, some neat stuff. And again, if his model is slightly different from the one that I use, it makes no difference. As long as it's not a globe, that's the big goal here. Again, I'm not trying. Yes, I love the enclosed system. I think it's tidy and nice, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But in his case, maybe he doesn't go with that. Who cares? As long as it's not a globe, everybody's on the same page. That's how a movement like this thing works. Kill the globe is basically, or occupy Earth. I should be getting royalties for the T-shirt ideas I'm coming up with because these are gold, people. Anyway, let's see here. I'm looking at other people. Oh yeah, Yoda's Conspiracy Channel. He's a great example of how to make it work for you because. And I do not know who did this. Every single week, I get people saying, "Hey, I watched your movie." And the first time I heard this, I thought they were saying it wrong. It's like they just didn't understand the concept. But they were saying, I enjoyed your movie. I go, what? And I finally had to ask, what movie? They go, it's like 2 hours long. Your clues. I was going, for those people who don't understand, I never made a movie. All somebody did was, because I use Creative Commons license for my videos, and I'm probably giving that away now, which means you can do anything you want with my videos. You can rip them apart. You can put them together, do anything. And I don't know who did it. Could have been Yoda. I'm not entirely sure. But all they did was chop off the back ends, when I was saying, giving out my phone number and email address, and just connected all the clues together. And it turned out to be, pushing about 2 hours, and then released it as a movie. In fact, this one, it looks coming in at an hour 50, and released this movie. And so the Flat Earth Clues movie on his channel is running 125,000 hits right now, roughly, which is amazing. Rumor has it that I'm actually on IMDb now for this movie.
Wow.
I know. Somebody sent me a link that go, "Why are you on IMDb?" I was going to wait, what did I do? Oh, didn't you produce and direct the Flat Earth Clues movie? I was going, oh my God.
Wow.
I know. This is, yeah. So anyway, but he does, the other stuff. He's done stuff for other people. It's not just me that he's done stuff for, but he's done a lot of neat little pro. In fact, he's released, 6 or 7 videos in the last week. Some of them pretty short, but they're going after the debunkers, saying, look, lighten up, roll with this. Eventually you'll catch on. And he's made, I'm looking at 4, he's done, 25 Flat Earth related movies, taking out the Hillary Clinton movie that he did. Just neat stuff. And he's getting a bunch of hits. He's again, mine had 120,000. There's others here that are getting a bunch of hits. Good for him. He's sticking to it. I love the fact that he's on board. Does that mean he and I are friends and we work in the same NSA office? No, it does not. He was not there when Jonathan started ranting about the corn dogs. Because we're on sort of a staggered lunch schedule.
That's true.
Yeah, kind of like schools. Let me see, who else? Zetetic Flat Earth. He's been on since the beginning. And by the way, I got a comment. That is a great picture you just sent me. The flat Earth needs women instead of Mars needs women. That's brilliant.
You like that?
Yeah, that's really, really good. Zetetic Flat Earth. That's Zetetic Flat Earth. Why the Zetetic Flat Earth UN map is correct. Step-by-step common sense analysis. Fantastic. Another guy, I've got to mention this guy, and you guys have probably seen it, which is Lawrence Wright. That's the name of his channel, Lawrence Wright. He's out in England, Lancashire, England. And what he does, he's actually doing public speaking stuff. And he did a public speaking thing recently called Chemtrails and the Flat Earth. And it's great. I mean, what he does is he brings people in with the chemtrails thing, and then he segues into the Flat Earth. And you can see the audience sort of turning against him to where he's not even really asking for questions. They're just throwing them out there. They're like yelling out, not even like heckler style. It's like, what about this? What about this? And he integrates a couple of my clues into his presentation. But and people are saying, oh, well, that's why you mentioned him. No, that's not exactly why I mentioned him. I'm giving him credit because he was the guy when I was making the clues, that when I was doing the clue number 7, the long haul, he was the one that gave me the long haul name. He was talking about long haul aircraft, and I go, wow, that's a great name for a clue. And he was the guy that and he gave me more information to look at when I was doing the magic show for Clue 9. So but that literally his first video on YouTube in the States was this one where he does a seminar. He's talking and you haven't watched that one yet, have you?
No, I don't think so.
I'll send it to you if you get a chance. But it's called Chemtrails and the Flat Earth. And it's great. It's him that this is how it's going to go. People are going to start. I'm going to start doing public speaking things before it's over. I guarantee it. And it's only a matter of time. And when I do, I'm going to do it in sort of his style. Where I just put slideshows up and let the people come at me, because again, I'm not going to get angry because that's how this thing starts. Everybody's first reaction, unless you are the most open-minded person ever, or you're on some great, what's a good drug for open-mindedness? Is it pot? Is it heroin? You do a lot of heroin. So what is it?
Scopolamine, is that what it's called?
Nice. Well, seriously though, you unless you're super open-minded, you're going to brace against this. And so, I fully prepared, if I do public speaking stuff that, the audience is going to, there'll be people that'll walk out. There'll be people that get angry. Hopefully no one will bring, vegetables and cabbage like they do in the movies, but, or throw tin cans at me. I'm sorry, aluminum cans. Let me see. Who else do I got? There's more NASA channel stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, some of Matt's comedy stuff that he did years ago when he was talking about the flat Earth. Some of those were pretty good. I got to admit, where he was doing, is it a painting or is it a picture? Those were pretty good stuff.
I enjoyed that video. I mean, that was
Which one? Oh, Matt's stuff.
Yeah. Again, I did it all with an open mind, but as I've gotten more into this and seen all the interplay with all the personalities, it's just like, all right, I started shutting down. I didn't want to, like I said, deal with all the infighting.
Yeah. There's a guy out there, I've got to mention him because he is so interesting when it comes to this, and you might want to look him up while I got you on. His channel is called Quasi Luminous. He's got like 14,000 followers, and more than me. And he makes videos. Okay, so in the movies, those hostage movies where the killer will send, they'll cut out letters from the newspaper, and spell out, deliver the money to this address, all in newspaper clipping letters, right? Yeah. He does that with apparently everything. So he makes these collages of
when he asks a girl out, would you like to go on a date?
I don't know, but it's I watch and my eyes just get huge because I'm watching this. I was going, wow, he draw, and anything he can't cut out, he draws his own little pictures of, and cool. She's just got pages and pages of this stuff, and it's almost like those movies where the conspiracy guy is connecting strings around the room, trying to connect this and that literal pieces of yarn. It's like this person's connected to this and reverse vampires is obviously connected to aliens. That's what he does with a lot of stuff without the strings. And how his mind works, I have no freaking idea. It's just fascinating to watch. Anyway, he's on the flat Earth track right now. You want to watch, you want to have a couple drinks and just be entertained. Watch some of his stuff. I'm not saying it is the most completely informative because it is difficult to follow, but you gotta watch some of his stuff. I just watch. I know why he has 14,000 followers. You'll see it when you get there.
And everything's written in ransom note.
You got to see it. Seriously, look it up.
Quasi-luminous.
Quasi-luminous. QUASI luminous.
I could just picture this guy. No,
here. Wait, you know what? I'll just send you the freaking link because you will totally understand when I send this to you.
I'm looking at his page right now. It says your Kundalini chakras are a trap prison. If that's the same guy.
Yeah, it probably is.
Because I had a Kundalini awakening once, but didn't think it was a prison.
He's out there. Anyway, but he's a good guy. I mean, he's just. He's really into it. I mean, he's been on. What's the term? Down the rabbit hole. He's been underground for a long time. He's been in that rabbit hole a long freaking time, and you can just, I'm God bless you, man. I hope that the flat Earth treats you well because, we'll see where it goes from there, how he integrates it.
I'm thinking of somebody I'd love to see this guy kidnap and then take the hood off, right? And there's the projector, like the old projector in the room.
Yeah.
And he's pacing in front of it back and forth, and it's showing like, the moon landing was fake, and then all these other images how the Earth is flat. And he's like trying to indoctrinate the person.
Nice. Yeah.
The camera's kind of going around the chair with the light right over him, like the old when they beat it out of you.
There's a movie for this guy somewhere. I guarantee it.
That's what I'm seeing from his images. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Again, it's old school, but it's not. It's like a crime genre. You usually only see this with villains, but he's not. So it's odd. It's part hostage movie, part Mel Gibson conspiracy theory. Is what I'm looking at here, where he's again, but it's not just the images. You got to listen to him just jump around because he's all over the place. Anyway, another guy I want to mention who will probably hate me for mentioning him, but he's actually I subscribe to him. I think is the Morgile, TheMorgile. He's come into the flat Earth scenario. He's made a whole bunch of videos like Flat Earth for Dummies, Moon animation. The globe is being crushed, he does other stuff too, but he's done some neat stuff. You could tell he's been in the conspiracy world for a while. He's been doing it for a couple of years, but he's made some interesting stuff. His subscribership's going up, 3,500 or so. Not shabby at all. Like some of the stuff he's putting out. Before the break, wow, this is our third section already. Oh, I might as well mention her before we got 6 minutes to the break. I got to call her out on this one though, and that is the woman. Because there's not a lot of women that are in this thing, but if there's one woman I've got to say who is pretty much elevated now to the position of high priestess, it's got to be Lori Frary. Lorifrary. That is not her channel, though. Her channel is the Flat Earth Conspiracy. She was smart enough to grab the flatearthconspiracy.org.net.info. She basically took it, from Mr. Dubé.
God forbid you leave anything out there for anybody who really wants to get involved with this.
Exactly, the YouTube channel, whatever else she can grab. But again, that shows initiative. And it does. She really came out and she's done other stuff in the past. I think she talked about 9/11.
Hey, quick, Mark, get the People's Judean Front and the Judean People's Front in Judea or whatever.
Yeah.
Register both of them quick.
Well, yeah. There goes to show you, by the way, people, this is America, opportunistic people, and I'm not pointing at her and saying that she was opportunistic, but she was really smart to do what she did. Like when I mentioned on air, just by casually, I said, by the way, I don't have Flat Earth Clues registered anywhere, and somebody immediately grabbed the Facebook Flat Earth and Flat Earth Clues on Facebook and flatearthclues.com.
Hey, it's trending. It's trending.
Yeah.
I got my name on it. It's trending.
Exactly. It's like, but I wasn't ever going to take it. I told people, had I known, I'm a little smarter than that, I would have taken it if I was going to use it. But I wanted to go with enclosedworld.com because it takes away. It's easier to digest. People don't immediately just back out of that site out of.
If it sounds like I'm being mean to this person, by the way, it's only because I've seen some hypocrisy lately.
Oh, with Lori?
Oh,
okay. Well, yeah. Well, okay. So I got to mention Lori. So anyway, she started doing roundtables. She made Eric's enemies list. His enemies list, I think, was 14 people long. I think she was number 11. And, you gotta be, I don't know if he's going to adjust it. Obviously I was number 1, even though I never said a bad thing about him in my life. Lori stole apparently everything and she only made number 11, but she's been doing roundtables and doing some really, really, really great stuff on YouTube called the Flat Earth Conspiracy. And
have you been on one of those roundtables?
Her roundtables? No, I have not.
Oh.
But no, she has not invited me because she doesn't trust me yet. Oh. And I get it. She because I'm a shill. No. She was the one that elevated me to gatekeeper, and actually I think it was somebody else on her show that did, which was fine. Look, when you look at the 3 people that were really doing a lot of stuff, Eric and Matt and I. She was looking at the 3 of us, and she, if she's thinking of treating this like an Occupy Wall Street type thing, she wants to, see what can be done without a spokesperson, without a leader. It may be possible, but if somebody calls me, if somebody wants to talk about this, I haven't solicited any of the people that interviewed me. If somebody wants to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it with people. So that, raised some alarm bells in her head, and she wanted to. And again, I tried to be nice. Again, flat Earth friendship. She, everything I said, I meant truly. If she's listening, when I post a comment on somebody's thing, it's not lip service. The guy that did the sprinkler thing, where he made this pretty inventive, and I sent it to you, pretty original concept, where that is the dome in a rainbow. Even on a sprinkler may be caused because we have a dome structure that's over us. I thought that was a great concept. He's going, he didn't watch it and he was a shill. I was going, okay, it was only 4 minutes long. How could I not watch it? I was eating cookies and watching it, and I didn't even make it through half a bag. And
oh wait, can I say something to that?
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, I watch YouTube in HUTML 5, so it gives you optional controls for speeding up the playback rate, and I usually watch it at twice the speed, or I download it with JDownloader and watch it at faster speeds than that.
Yeah.
So unless you have a video that you have to look at the slides, like your video, which told you to please send cookies, because you never said that.
Yeah.
I will watch a video if I have to, but if it's just somebody talking, and especially if it's their face in the camera because they love themselves, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway.
Oh yeah. So that guy, and again, I understand, and he was on Lori's roundtable, and by the way, thank you guys. I actually listened to that roundtable, and you called me out and said hi to me because you were sure that I was listening, and I was. And they think, oh, he must have a amazing bot system. It's like, no, I just have access to YouTube a lot. I use YouTube actually more than television, like a lot of people. But anyway, the point is, I like Lori's work. I like what she's doing. She has amazing organizational skills, and she's getting a lot of people involved. And it honestly feels like a real movement when she's talking about this stuff. And I understand. If she doesn't trust me yet, then she doesn't. If she may never trust me. But my message to her is, again, keep doing what you're doing, of course. But look, eventually you got to trust somebody. And
don't trust me. I'm telling you all right now.
Don't trust Jonathan.
Don't trust me.
Don't trust John.
I am Mark's handler, so do not trust me.
Fine. Thank you for doing that. That helps my little rant so much. But no, it's true. You got to trust somebody. It's like, look, I don't care who you trust. You don't want to trust me, trust Jaron. If you don't trust Jaron, trust Simon LeBon or My Perspective, which we'll talk about after the break, or anybody that comes up. Look, trust people. I know it's don't just trust yourself. You got to look at other people that are doing work, and at the very least, if you don't trust them, don't tear them down necessarily.
And do you know why I don't ask for cookies?
Why?
Because I'm a fat man that doesn't trust himself. I would eat all those cookies.
And with that, we're going to break. Our last break, as a matter of fact, before the last segment. And we'll be back with more Flat Earth Friendship.
You're too kind, Mark. You're too nice.
Stop.
The Rundown live with Mike and Kristen, Monday through Thursday on Truth Frequency Radio. Welcome back to Strange World. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, with my co-host, Jonathan from Jersey, and we're talking about flat earth friendship, peace and harmony, love and togetherness.
I'm sorry.
because friendship is universal.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Isn't that what it's all about? Remember, sharing is caring. Yeah, I know. This is going to make my thing where I say at the end, treat others better than you treat yourself. It's going to seem trite by comparison now. Anyway, let's get back to it. We got half an hour to talk about some more people, and this isn't more shout outs as much as it is, just telling people, really, it's a positive thing. Who's doing good work? Who's doing the good stuff that's out there? Look at some of these people's stuff. There's stuff coming out every single day. In fact, there's a live thing going on right now by somebody called Mars Anomalies, called Mars, the Moon, Space News, and Flat Earth. He's doing it, as we're doing it. He's doing a live YouTube thing right now, and it's, it's getting hits and fantastic. But a couple other people I want to mention, people that, again, if I forget anybody, don't hate me. We can, I can always throw it in the next show. There's no end to this. One of them is My Perspective. Literally My Space Perspective. That's Rory Cooper out of South Africa. And he started out doing 3D modeling. He's got a great 3D mind. So he puts, an object, he does a lot of 3D modeling. So he'll put an object in the center of the grid, and then he'll twirl things around it and show you what the sun should look like, what the clouds should look like, what the rays should look like, what the earth should look like if it's a ball versus if it's flat. And I dug his stuff. It is not. Yeah, he's on my short playlist, but it's tough. I'd recommend him more, but it was tough for people to get their heads around because he was using text. So he was doing the 3D modeling. He was just throwing text up on the screen and a little bit of music. But just recently, he started doing his own narrative, which was great. Yeah, he's got a South African accent, but it isn't that bad. It isn't that thick. You can understand it. And once he started doing his narrative, and he introduced some new graphics, it is a lot more polished, and it is fun to watch. So for people that are real visual, if you don't want to hear, you want to hear my voice droning on and on, then listen to his stuff and watch what's on the screen. I mean, you can't just listen to him. You're going to have to watch it. You can't just fall asleep like some people do with me, which is only slightly creepy. If people tell me that every week, it's like, oh yeah, I put on your thing before I go to bed. I was going, man, do you even know what brainwashing is? Because usually you have to be tied down at CIA to have somebody do that to you. But
we broadcast the word sleep just like they live, right? At
negative
50 decibels.
At a certain frequency, yeah.
All your videos are embedded with certain words.
Yeah, plus I try to throw in a little hot sex subliminal messaging.
Go ahead. Let's get back on topic.
Okay, so like that. I credit to Will Ferrell, who was the absolutely no, it wasn't Bill Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
Oh crap!
I think of his name now.
Oh my god! He's Saturday Night Live character. He does a lot of neat
smart guy.
Yeah, he was on Billy Madison. He was the guy that, all good things find, the ball needs to find its hole.
I can't think now.
Oh, crap. Well, look him up if you get a chance. All right. So, other guy is, I want to mention on the flip side. So if Lori Frary is the high priestess right now, one of the guys that's doing, on the other side, I won't necessarily call him a high priest because he probably hates that. I think he's out of South Africa or Australia. Sorry, John. And that's John Laban. He's been doing a Ball Earth Skeptic Roundtable. And he titles it really interesting. So instead of calling it necessarily Flat Earth, he'll call it the Ball Earth Skeptic. And he brings on people and they talk for a couple hours about different theories and, who's doing what, and really kind of tearing into it. So it is really something for the debunkers to go after. And so, so you've got a roundtable on one side that's pro, and a roundtable, several roundtables that are pro, and really only one roundtable that is con, which is led by other people. Con. Nice Star Trek II reference. That's brilliant. So John Laban, and I'm not going to list all the people. I mean, down the rabbit hole, of course, and Matrix. Oh crap! I'm not going to do it justice. All those guys that I interviewed with, Matrix Decode, and all those guys that are doing the roundtable and all the guests you bring on, you guys are doing great stuff. Do not stop doing it, because the roundtables, that's what people love. People love to hear it, because they get multiple sides, they get multiple perspectives, and you guys are doing some great stuff there.
And can I say something too?
Say whatever.
I've listened to a lot of talk radio over the years. Yeah. And all the conspiracy circles and everybody from Jeff Rense to you name it down the line. I listen to a lot of these YouTube videos now, because there's no commercials.
Yeah.
I don't have to hear about colloidal silver or buy gold now or extendovite or any of this other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to hear people talk. I can't wait till we start doing call-ins.
Yeah.
Because
because I do not mind. Look, when people call it, when we actually get to that point where people call in, there'll be some angry people, and fine, if they want to say, you're an idiot, can't believe you're talking about the flat earth. It's like, man, I was you at one point. You got to remember that. It is not like I woke up and said, oh, flat earth, that's a great idea. It was, I tried to shoot this thing down and I thought I could, like everybody else. So, I completely empathize. So why would I get mad? How could I get mad? You better laugh at this thing.
Yeah, and I wanted to say too, like I appreciate even like Mark saying he's giving people a lot of credit here. I do listen to all these roundtable discussions, all these videos, and even if I don't agree with all the points, like I respect everybody who's trying to, making the attempt to try to figure this all out.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have to agree. I just have to listen.
Yeah.
I don't even have to make a comment. I just okay.
I got another guy for you. And he started out as a debunker. He was kind of soft on it. You could tell he was wavering right away, and that was Brett Bernhoft. And he is pretty much honestly, he's actually doing what I consider equivalent of flat Earth news. I don't know if I told you. So there's two guys that were initially doing it. There was oh crap, I can't remember the other guy's name, but I will. And that was he. He did like Flat Earth War, like a metal music intro, and Mark Sargent versus Eric Dubé and all this stuff. But Brett took kind of the lighter side. So if this other guy was kind of like the Fox News angry type of guy, Brett was like the MSNBC version, where he would come on with, you could tell he was reading from a script that was just below camera, and he would read from his garage what was going on in the flat Earth thing, and he was kind of like doing a flat Earth update, like a weekly update, with Brett Bernhoft. Today, fighting broke out between, and that's what he would start reading, and it was really neat to watch because he's gotten so much better, to the point where I recommend it on his channel. I don't post a lot of comments to people, but in his case, it's like, man, get a freaking banner, get on a desk, with a lamp, and just go for it. Sit down and actually do the freaking news, because at this point, people are watching and people are listening, and it's neat to see what. In fact, what was the last ones he just did? Let's see here.
You're so much more up on this all than I am.
Yeah, I gotta watch it now. Yeah, he's kind of gotten away from it a little bit, but he'll get back into it. There's only so much you can do, on the flat Earth. If you're trying to do like a weekly news thing. Let me see if other people that's. Oh yeah, Daniel Ott. I got to mention him. He was one of the guys that interviewed me. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of going out to the people that are doing interviews on this. Again, so many people got to understand the reason why. One of the reasons why this is just getting bigger and bigger is because it's not that just people are talking about it, but the podcasts and the radio shows, they are also talking about it. They want to talk about it. And once those first few got out there and started interviewing people, everybody, it's like, well, if he did it, I can do it. It's like, it's not embarrassing anymore. It's like, it's the dancing guy video that you sent me. Okay. Where once they started going into it from an interview standpoint, everybody, it started getting faster and faster to where, Jeranism's doing interviews, Eric's doing interviews, Matt, of course, could do interviews if he ever wanted to. But Daniel Ott, I got to mention because he interviewed me, and then I mentioned on him because he, Daniel Ott was going more down the scripture side, down the Christianity side, and I said, why aren't you talking to Rob Skiba? He goes, Rob Skiba? He goes, I interviewed him a while ago. And I go, get him back on. And so sure enough, within less than 2 weeks, he had Rob on there, and they were just running with it. Just, from like a matter of fact, and even though Rob, I know he comes out and says, well, I still, sort of believe in the globe. That's his out. He's basically saying, I believe in the globe. Somebody should prove it to me that it's a globe, which is great. I see here.
I'm just finishing, yeah.
I'm looking at, here's another one I got to mention. Stinky Cash. He's out of Jersey. I spoke with him actually shortly after. You guys are probably not that far away from each other. And he was, we talked several times on the phone about, different theories and what he was going to do. And now he's got, like, here's one, his Flat Earth Sunrise and Sunset Explained. It's got 10,000 hits already. He's got a great little, even his logo is cool. It's a dog holding a Frisbee that he overlaid the Flat Earth thing, kind of like what you did in that picture thing to me.
Nice.
Oh, and you sent me, you're working on a friendship logo. That's fantastic.
Almost done.
But he's done a several videos now along the lines of Flat Earth. I mean, yeah, and granted, he's, for him to trust people also difficult, but he's making good stuff. I'm looking at at least half a dozen or so Flat Earth vids, and they're getting hits, which is fantastic. Nothing but good things to say about it. And another thing for people who are thinking about interviewing, and again, it doesn't have to be me. You will get hits for this thing. I mentioned Simon Adkins, who I did a video, or I did an interview with, 3 months ago. And, normally his vids, on YouTube, I mean, some people watch his live. He's out of Uruguay. And some of his vids, they get 300, they get 1,000. You know how many vids, how many hits my interview has had on his show? 25,000.
Wow.
Just for a freaking interview. It could be because it's one of the shorter ones, and it's actually got graphics, and it's a pretty cool little thumbnail. But that's not even my 25,000 hits. That's not even my channel. That's his channel. He's got more hits on his interview than I do on that interview, which is really, really weird. Cesar, will you stop sending me those? He keeps sending me these friendship flat Earth videos. We'll have to use that as the thumbnail eventually. Maybe
that's pretty funny.
That's good. Another guy, older school. Okay, this is one of the guys that got me into it, and I was a little worried about him about a month ago, but not anymore. And that was Cesar, CAE space SAR. I believe he's out of Germany. He makes he's made a ton of flat Earth videos. He doesn't narrate. He uses, just text, but some of it, he's put in a lot of NASA channel stuff. He does a lot of neat little compositions, and he gets a whole bunch of hits. Yeah, I thought he had gone off the reservation about a month ago because it looked like he was going the other direction, but now he's come back. I don't know what happened there. If he had a change of heart, if he was having difficulties. But the last video he made 11 hours ago was called Spooky Moon Rover Speeds, which basically shows, and it's a good video. I mean, that just came out 11 hours ago, which shows what the moon, when you're driving those moon buggies across the moon, what happens when you double the speed. Oh, hey, look at that. It looks just like normally, like you'd be driving across the desert down in Baja, California. So, what do you make of that? But 3 weeks ago, he was kind of wavering. I don't know if he did it deliberately, but I'm glad to see he's back on board. And he, at one point, again, he was one of those guys that, was a trust thing. He and I were corresponding. Everything was great. Matt makes a video, and this is how it snowballs. And we'll delve into this just for a little bit, even though it's supposed to be flat Earth friendship. Matt.
We'll have to do another show called our Flat Earth Frenemies.
Frenemies. Oh, that's good. That's good. We may have to do that. Not next week, but
no, I'm just kidding.
But that's not bad.
We're not doing that.
But okay, we won't do that. So Matt makes a video, that big opus, that 3-hour thing, and in the second part, a lot of people didn't watch the second part because by that time it was kind of overwhelming. But he gets the second part. He's going, yeah, that Mark Sargent, I never trusted him. And it's like, holy crap. So Cesar took that, and that's when, remember, he posted that video where apparently I was a man, what was that? A deadbeat dad out of Boston.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that, where he was like putting my video up next to this guy in Boston that was also named Mark Sargent. He's going, obviously the same guy.
Yeah.
It's like, holy crap. And, eventually enough people came after him that said, look, it's not the same guy, which it wasn't. But again, I understand, he was following the whole Matt thing. He had used a lot of Matt's work. Matt, of course, and I should probably mention this. I didn't mention it before. I'm going to mention it now. Look, Matt was out there talking about this years ago, and nobody was listening. He literally was doing the Randy Quaid from Independence Day routine, where he was out there saying, I've been telling you about aliens for the last 10 years, and yeah, he ended up getting vindicated at the end of the movie. But but yeah, Matt was out there talking about this years ago, and yeah, nobody was listening. He was an island out there. So you got to give credit where credit is due. I am so sorry that people weren't listening then. It just needed a little more structure, and maybe the timing wasn't right. Who knows? But now they are listening, which is great.
Speaking of those videos are the absolute worst in conspiracy circles.
What?
When people do the analysis of like, this is the same person here, and here.
Yeah.
Some of these people that put these videos together.
Yeah. You're talking about Dallas Goldbug.
Well, because I do. I don't know who does them, but
it's Dallas Goldbug.
I do photography and videography, and I'm always analyzing faces, and I know it can be done with Photoshop, but I'm thinking to myself, my God, if this person was a witness to a crime scene or something like that, like this is who they would, you'd be in trouble, you'd be in jail.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's they're nearsighted, farsighted, or.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like the nose is like it's
No,
not even the same nose or ears, and you're like,
Everybody, I even confused one of my best friends from my childhood with a Middle Eastern model. He was wearing sunglasses and he had the same hair. And yeah, everybody looks like somebody at some point. We have all seen those news stories. It's like celebrity lookalikes, But in Dallas Goldbug, I got to tell you, some of his stuff used to be really, I considered him a pretty good conspiracy guy. But once he went down that path of everybody is somebody, he was comparing faces, he never turned back. He just ran with that thing.
well, the celebrity ones are the funniest because here are people that, this is really so and so, a retired actor who's 85 years old or something. I'm thinking this poor guy, he lives in L.A. or he lives out in the middle of nowhere and he's got he doesn't have time for this crap.
Yeah.
Government's not going to hire him and put him in makeup and be like, okay, now you're this person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, yeah. You guys want to see the pictures, just look at celebrity lookalikes. You can just type that up anywhere. Do not go down too far that road because it just doesn't go anywhere.
And by the way, you brought up a really good point. I don't know if you said this last show.
What?
If you change your hairstyle or you age or you gain or lose weight over the years, you can still look at pictures. If somebody lined up pictures and said, find yourself in this picture, you'd spot yourself immediately.
Yeah.
And say, oh, there I am, there I am, there I am. So our eyes pick up we have a great attention to detail when it's obvious.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, I'm done with that rant.
No, it's okay. There's another guy I got to mention, and he's really gotten into it over the last month or so. Another guy's name he's called Star Gods. Stargods. Older gentleman. I can't tell exactly where he is. It could be the South, maybe Florida. I can't tell. Anyway, he did a video 4 days ago called, and I don't know if I sent this one to you, called Max Egan, Mark Sargent, Matt Boylan, and others are missing the point. And it was more kind of like what we're doing now, and which was kind of a piece. It's like, look, we should stop the infighting, which was really, really great. And he'd said some very constructive things, about me. He had some criticisms. He wasn't exactly. He was on the fence, like a lot of people. Is Mark a shill? Is he a gatekeeper? Whatever. He wasn't sure. But his message was that's not really the point. The point is the globe is going away, and the infighting has to stop. Eventually it's going to stop. Either we're going to get drowned out, or somebody else is going to step forward and take this whole thing over. But I had to mention him because, I watched that whole thing. It was like 42 minutes long. It was very good. It was very, very well done. And, he's done a lot of, one of his other things called Our Prison World and the Future Sifting. The Matrix is about manipulation. All sorts of neat stuff. It's really, really good what he's been doing, and I hope he sticks with it. So, cool. Just want to throw that out there for Star Gods. I wouldn't have, except he actually gave me criticism without being mean. He didn't actually, just say, Mark, he's obviously a psyop guy. Let me see here. More Thrive and Survive. More Stinky Cash. Matrix Decode. He's one of the guys from the roundtable for the Ball Earth Skeptic. Matrix Decode. He's doing some neat stuff. Don't discount him. He's people look. I mean, some of these people that are putting out stuff. Here's the best part. They've never made YouTube videos before. Not necessarily Matrix, but other people. They're coming out and it's like, wow. I remember that girl I sent you. Mm-hmm. That younger girl. She had never made a video before on YouTube. And her first video is about flat Earth. I mean, that's ballsy. That takes some nerve to do that. And she was optimistic. She didn't, she wasn't even that nervous. She just came out and said, "Look, I am happy to be a part of this whole flat Earth thing." It was like, wow, great. Or that I think she was like 16 or 17. That Asian physics student, where for her class project, she did a flat Earth thing, and I can't do it justice. You could probably look it up, physics and flat Earth or whatever. You can't miss her though, and she was out there and she was on board with it. I'll even go so far. Most people would have missed by this one, but I got to mention this one. There was an 11-year-old kid that made a flat Earth video the other day. At school, no less. I mean, you could tell this kid's got some acting chops. He's gonna be on Broadway somewhere. But the fact that he was poking fun, but the point was he's 11. his voice hasn't even begun to crack yet, and he's making a flat Earth video. That's how this thing. That's where and for every one of him, how many Facebooks posts are there on this? How many tweets, which I don't see. There are a ton. It's amazing to watch right now. I say, who else can I pick on? Who else can I call out? This isn't like the teacher calling out people. It's like, whose homework assignment I really liked. And then they start sinking into their chair.
Don't say my name. Don't say my name.
You haven't made any videos. You probably should.
Who, me? I could easily.
You could. I know you don't have time. You got a wife and kids and stuff. I don't. And people don't realize that. Look, I've never been married, never have kids. I've got time. I've had way too much free time over the last 20 years. Let's see. We got 3 minutes to the break. Maybe we should wrap it up with just general stuff. Let's see. My perspective, other people, Kelly in the room. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else here that I want to call out right away. What do you got? Do you got anything that's? Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't even look at my I'm
looking at your list.
Yeah, I didn't even look at my short list. Oh yeah, I got one for you. The Ronald Show. That guy down at the bottom. NASA official says there is no video of the Earth in space rotating on its axis. This is a great one to end on. And that is, look, this guy, he went up, filmed himself calling up NASA. He basically looked up the number, so he pretended he was a movie producer. I'm not endorsing that you lie and go and pretend that you're somebody else, but he pretended he was a movie producer, and he wanted to make sure he got he had access to the NASA logo and perhaps some stock footage of theirs. And he called them up and asked them. He played it up, the whole thing. He sounded very convincing. As far as a Hollywood producer goes. And they came, and at one point he said, "Hey, is there any motion pictures, rotating pictures of the Earth from space? A movie of the." And he said, and he had him on speakerphone. They said the guy, and this was the guy to talk to. He said, "No, we don't have that. It doesn't, it's not there. It's not there." And he's going, and he confirmed, just to make sure, he confirmed. Even though officially, the one that's being passed out there and the one that Matt tore apart in his routine years ago was the 1990 Galileo one, which wasn't even really an official movie. It was just a series of still shots they stitched together that made it look like it was rotating. But that was the one where the weather didn't move, the weather didn't morph. But it was interesting. I mean, that guy right there. I mean, look what he did. All he did was, no production value at all. He used a cell phone. He looked up a phone number. He calls up NASA. Yeah, tells a little white lie and gets a great little take on it, where NASA's saying, no, we do not have any movies of the Earth from space. Wow. That costs no money.
Meanwhile, you have people doing GoPro videos that are like better than, the best commercials you could film.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And there's one more guy. We got 1:30 left, but I want to mention one more guy, and that is Learn of the Jesuit Order. That's a weird YouTube name, but you know what? And his thing is called the NASA Space Hoax Exposed. That one where he goes off on a freaking rant. His energy is unbelievable. Where he's basically going through the pictures. He's basically proving what I initially said, which was there are no pictures of the Earth from space. There's only two pictures they pass off. One is just a painting / whatever photo edited thing, and the other is a computer composite image. And he just shows it over and over. He just drills it into your head, and you can tell the outrage in his voice. It's great to listen to. So with that. It was a great video, and I think we had a great show. Yes.
I had fun.
Yeah.
I got it out. That's why I'm quiet. I'm all mellow now.
And thank you very much for joining us on an episode of Flat Earth Friendship, where sharing is caring, love and harmony, all good things. Kevin Nealon, that was his name.
That's his name.
Oh, thank God I remembered at the end.
Can't we all just get along?
Yeah, that's my Rodney King. I think I was going to open it. It's like, can't we all just get along? Yeah, that when they pushed him up on stage, he could have not looked any more awkward. Anyway, thank you very much to the Cookie People. Treat others better than treat yourselves. Thanks, Jonathan.
Good night, everyone.
See ya.
All right.
How bad is it, sir?
It's not good, but at least she's not beginning to crack up. She's beginning to crack up.